Karl Malone played 19 incredible seasons in the NBA, 18 with the Utah Jazz. Mailman was one of the most dominant players to ever lace him up on the hardwood. And tonight we bring you Karl Malone, the final delivery.
A career is like a basketball. When you first throw it in the air, it bounces high. It's a little lower, a little lower, a little lower. Then it roll, then it come to a stop. That was my career.
Welcome to the 1985 NBA Draft.
We did not think he would be there when we picked. So we actually were looking elsewhere, you know. We thought we'd be lucky if that was shrimp or something came down to us.
The Dallas Mavericks select Detlef Schrempf.
Karl Malone, I thought he would go in the top 3, 4, 5.
The Utah Jazz are very happy to announce that in the 13th pick of the first round of the 1985 draft, that we're going to bring a mailman.
In the last 5 years that I've been coaching here, I want to say one thing. We got a lot of rebounds left over. Can you get them for us? Yeah. I'll take it.
Jazz will be their #1 draft choice, Karl Malone.
He was a very young, raw player, as we all were when we first showed up here.
When I saw him shoot one of his first free throws and it hit nothing but air.
Second shot by Malone, short. Air ball. Bulls get the ball on the side.
Oh, man, the wind must have been blowing in his face on that one.
I had some reservations about how good this kid was going to be.
I remember the influence of Adrian Dantley. Adrian really taught him to care for his body and start eating better and to start honing himself. And Karl really took that to heart.
I kind of groomed Karl a little bit his rookie year. He was naive about a lot of things. I can remember when he signed like with 3 different agents at the same time.
Under the tutelage of Dantley and head coach Frank Layden, Malone averaged 15 points and 9 rebounds his rookie year. But following that season, Layden made a move that shocked the mailman.
I said to him that we're getting rid of Adrian Dantley, who's an all-star, and we're giving that job to you. Now you got to improve. You've got to get post-up moves. You've got to get a medium-range jump shot, and you've got to be a better free throw shooter because we're going to be counting on you. You're the man now.
When he looked me in my eyes, Frank, and said, we're trading Adrian Dantley, and are you going to be ready? I answered the question, yeah.
Here's Stockton left side. He'll take a left right, roll out for Malone.
By this time, John Stockton, who was heading into his 3rd season, was readying himself to assume the role as Utah's floor general of the future.
I noticed right off the bat when I was sitting on the bench watching him play as a rookie that there was something special there.
He would have been good anywhere he went, but like John, this was the perfect match. Boom, the two of them come together.
Perry's back. Great move by Stockton. Stockton behind his back and the dish to Malone.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Together, Stockton and Malone raised Utah up the NBA ranks. And in 1988, during the Western Conference semifinals, the Jazz gave the LA Lakers all they could handle in a 7-game series.
Stockton to free throw line, right side of the mailman. Score! Foul to Bar.
The thing about both those guys is they didn't talk. They weren't shaking people's hands and they patting the opposition on the butt and picking guys up off the floor and saying hello to coaches. You know, they wanted to win. You know, you were the enemy.
Eaton, rebound to Bailey to Hanson. Hanson down the middle. Pirouettes away from Cooper. Right side of the mailman. Slammed up. The mailman. They are running the Lakers out of the building.
They were confident. They felt that they had a chance to really beat us. And we only won right at the end. In that 7th game.
We go and play one of the best teams of all time, that Laker team, and really, in a lot of ways, coulda, shoulda, if, woulda won it. And it's largely because of the dominance of Karl Malone.
Karl in particular, that series really took on being a superstar and being an all-star and what it takes in the clutch to perform. And from that point forward, the team just continued to inch it up notch by notch year after year.
When we come back, after a strong showing in the Lakers series, Malone makes his mark as one of the elite players in the NBA.
What a show. 61 points for the mailman. Jazz run again to the mailman. Down, hang it up and in. The mailman. Karl Malone. John Stockton, another assist.
Karl Malone probably is the hardest working player I've ever been around.
And watch who gets down to the other end of the court first. Now, boom.
If you've ever been down to where he lives, it might be insane to do what he does. I mean, the heat and the humidity and to run hills and drag tires and whatever else he did down there.
Up to the mailman, drive hard to the hoop, goes to the goal, it's gone, count, Karl Malone, ducked that shoulder, powered in with the left hand.
We've had a history of having guys that aren't afraid to work. But Karl, being as competitive as he is, when we would get guys out there, he'd want to mash them in the dirt. Well, I couldn't get him to come back. I'd say, Karl, you can't do this. You got to ease up.
You might want to consult your doctor before you do this.
I remember Ike Austin working out with him. I'm not sure a lot of those guys lasted just because Karl put them to shame.
The only way to survive out there in the post and in the middle was to be the strongest guy on the floor, so that when you went to the basket, guys were going to pay a price if they got in your way. And Karl learned that, and learned that well.
When Karl was young, I remember Maurice Lucas, who was known as an enforcer. And Maurice Lucas told me a story where, he used to always give, cheap shot some of the younger players, try to intimidate them right off the get-go. And he said he got Karl good, and Karl grabbed his shirt and yanked on it, and said, "You do that one more time, we can kill you."
He was a beast in the paint area, no question about it.
As the mailman's body began to grow and develop, so did his game. In 1988, he participated in his first All-Star game, and the following year, Malone was selected the game's MVP. He would share the honors again with Stockton in Salt Lake City in 1993. The power forward was picked to play in 14 consecutive midseason classics, second only to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
He had a tremendous desire to do well, and that just influenced his hard work, and he wanted to be the best he could be.
Early in his career, he was another guy that always brought something back that he'd worked on in the summer and always improved his game.
There were players maybe had more talent in some ways, but he had an unusual talent, and he was an unbelievable worker.
It was that work ethic, combined with extraordinary athleticism for a man 6 feet 9 inches, 255 pounds, that helped Malone become a force to be reckoned with.
61 points for the mailman.
Most players have power or they have speed, but very seldom do they have both.
It was a power game, but at the same time, he showed a finesse as he learned that jump shot and drove people crazy with that. But what was most amazing about him to me was the way he ran the floor.
Karl Malone right side, drive, hang, score!
To see a guy that big, that fast, that powerful, getting up and down the floor, it was a beautiful thing to watch.
Time to go low, he does, inside of the mailman, hook it up and in! What a play!
He had terrific balance and strength, but it's how he used it. A lot of guys have balance and strength. Why aren't they Karl Malone? I heard probably every year that he was there, this guy's the next Karl Malone. Came, gone. This guy's the next Karl Malone. Came, gone. What did he do? Well, he learned. If you got him one day at this, you weren't getting him the next time.
His hands are probably better than anybody I've ever seen. I could just fire him the ball, and he doesn't even have to be looking. Half the time they had the strongest guy hanging all over him, and I would just fire it as hard as I could, and somehow he got a hand up there and would catch it.
Stockton front court. Stockton underneath the crowd. He's alone. Score the bucket.
I compare him with only one other athlete that I have ever seen, and that is the great Jim Brown. Jim Brown had this great athletic talent, this great ability to be big and muscular, but to have the quickness and the power. You look at Karl Malone, he gets a rebound, pitches out, and bingo, he's up the other end. How many times has he beaten everybody up the floor?
When Malone wasn't out on the break, he was punishing opponents, working the pick and roll with John Stockton.
Looks in to Karl Malone. Now the mailman comes out and sets the screen. Stockton rolls to Trout inside. Scoop it up and in. Pick and roll. Karl Malone.
The best pick and roll players that I've ever seen. They knew each other. They knew what they're going to do, where they're at on the court at all time. And it was just an honor to play against both of them.
Not too often that a simple play that everyone knows the name of gets put with two people. You know, the sky hook is Kareem, the dunk is Michael Jordan, but the pick and roll is Stockton and Malone.
Stock with 7 points, 10 assists. He'll bounce it to the ball. Here we go. In your face, Bubba.
Stockton was a brilliant passer, and Karl Malone knew how to use his body to set screens and create angles for the passes, and he had terrific hands, and he was a great finisher. You could try as hard as you could to prepare for the pick and roll, and it was all for naught once those two hit the floor.
When we come back, Karl Malone represents the United States in the Olympics as a member of the original Dream Team and helps carry the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
In an Olympic Games filled with ritual and ceremony, this has become the most frequent regular event here. The U.S. basketball team leaves its posh hotel for a game the way movie stars arrive at the Oscars. It's a good analogy, actually, because the Dream Team doesn't so much play games here as put on a show.
In 1992, Karl Malone is a member of the greatest team ever assembled, the original Olympic Dream Team that crushes the competition in Barcelona.
When the national anthem started playing, it was like, you know, it was just like we was little kids, and it was great.
The mailman would go on to win a second gold medal in 1996. Then at the 1997 All-Star Game in Cleveland, Karl is named one of the 50 greatest players of all time. That same season, Malone is named the NBA's MVP while leading Utah to a franchise record 64 wins. Then in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals at Houston, Malone and the Jazz take the next step.
Russell will inbound at half court. Stockton, open three. John Stockton sends the Utah Jazz to the NBA Finals.
Well, that's probably the best feeling that I've ever had in sports. The battle that it took to get there, the struggles as a team we had getting over Portland, getting over Houston, that we kind of killed two birds with one stone because Drexler was there.
Did Malone hold me on the play in the 1997 Western Conference Finals? Of course he did, and if he didn't, we'd all be upset. Smart players learn how to do things like that and get away with it.
When Stock hit the shot to go to the finals, it was the most awesome thing. God, we finally got over the hump. After all the years of training and doing this, we finally got over the hump.
Welcome back here to the Garden Center. Tonight, Game 1 of the NBA World Championship. Eventually to win, Karl Malone is going to have to confront Michael to straighten his head on and say, Michael, what you have is now mine.
There was just one hurdle Karl and the Jazz could not clear: the Chicago Bulls. In the NBA Finals, Utah would fall in 6 games, not only in 1997, but again in 1998.
Stockton, Harper's on it. Behind the screen, Harper got a piece of it. It comes off. The Chicago Bulls have won their 6th NBA championship.
I never felt they was just better than us.
It's one thing to win a championship and run around and tell everybody how great you were, but it's another to lose and come back and put everything you have into it again. Not a lot of people can do that.
Never fun to lose, and surely we didn't win it. So you go, you lay it all out there, and you take whatever's there. So it's disappointing, but not a darn thing we can do about it now.
The battles that we had against this team the 2 years in the finals was probably some of the greatest finals that I've played in because of the fact that, you know, they just kept coming back. It was 2 years in a row that we had to beat this team.
Deep in lane, put it up, good, got it, he's fouled, the mailman delivers.
Malone would bounce back the following year to win a second MVP trophy, one of only 10 players in history to win the award multiple times. Over the mailman's illustrious 19-year career, he left an indelible impression.
12 on the shot clock. Here he is, maybe the last chance. He's got it, 50. What a game.
Malone, and the Delta Center crowd loves it. And it's Malone inside, and they love that in Salt Lake.
shot, folks. Had MVP written all over it.
And Karl also finished as the NBA's #2 scorer with 36,928 points.
Holding, still holding, looking for Karl. Now he's got him low. Here it is. Karl on a hand scoop. Here it is. The mailman was now the second leading scorer in the history of the game. That was Stockton to Malone.
Stockton to Malone. You got to be able to say it like it's one word, you know. And I'll tell you what, I've said it a million times.
The power forward's 1,476 games played is 4th most in league history. But what may be more amazing is Malone missed only 6 games due to sickness or injury, a testament to his heart, his character, and his desire to compete. When we come back.
So Karl's courage as a basketball player, year in and year out, to come back and to be the force, the dominant force, has been the one thing that stands out.
Karl Malone was a great representation of the NBA because what we're about is a passion for the game, and he demonstrated it every night.
For those of us who can't read lips, what exactly were Karl Malone and Brian Grant saying to each other during Game 5?
He didn't like me, and I didn't like him. If you got something to say which you don't like me, get in line. Because a lot of people don't like Karl Malone. I understand that. I don't play this game for you to like me.
I don't think Karl's a dirty player. I would take Karl Malone on my team every day of the week, and I would teach all my players to play the way Karl Malone does.
Greatest power forward ever to play NBA basketball.
Michelangelo. He's the best. He's the best.
Oftentimes people think of Bob Pettit as being the greatest power forward ever. Karl Malone has taken that another giant step.
Well, Karl Malone put power in power forward.
Stock drive the middle. Dish it back to the mailman. Up top, drive hard. Go to the hoop. Hammer dunk. The mailman took all the dust out. Special delivery on that baby.
If you had to invent a guy, or if you wanted to design somebody and say, this is what I'd like a player to be like, it'd be like Karl Malone.
I think he's the best power forward ever to play the game. I don't think there's anybody with his talent, skills, his ability to improve every year he played.
He could shoot the jump shot. He was a physical rebounder. He was a great passer. He was a great team player. He was a winner. I mean, he did everything that you need to do with the criteria to become one of the best ever, and he was one of the best ever.
Ultimate professional, hard work, conditioning, great teammate, and best power forward ever.
Power, speed, grace. The best ever played power forward position. One of the best to ever play the game.
Every once in a while, I just say to Karl, I said, what does it feel like to be the greatest power forward that ever lived? And he would just look at me and kind of grin.
I'm just happy that I played in an era where I was lucky enough to play against him.
Stockton in the corner, rolls to the crowd, go to the hoop, back, Shaquille O'Neal.
The thing that impressed me most about Karl Malone is how strong he was and how dedicated he was. And he will always be one of the greatest players to ever play the game.
You know, he was a great player. He's a great competitor. You know, his brute strength, his great jump shot, him running the floor, Stockton passing it to him, dunking it. I mean, he had a fantastic career.
So Karl's courage as a basketball player, year in and year out, to come back and to be the force, the dominant force, has been the one thing that stands out.
You knew when you played against Karl Malone, you're going to be in for a battle because he came and brought it every night.
Here goes Karl. Goaltending. He's got 51.
If you look back on Karl's career, if there was one hallmark to it, it would be that he came to play every night. And when the ball went in the air, he just had one thing in mind, and that was winning basketball games.
When it came time to play, he was ready to go fight it again. And that's what I respect as much as anything.
He doesn't want to lose. He's got that mentality. Me and him is just alike. We're always out there trying to play hard and try to play for a purpose. And he's going to always be remembered as that. You know, once he gets on the floor, he's very serious about anything, and he goes hard at it. And that's what I respect him a lot for, too.
He might have been 40 at the time, and we had a practice. We all went through the practice, and half the guys were sitting down. Some of the younger guys were over there playing 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 or something, and they started popping off to Karl. Hey, old man, you know, you scared to come out there and play? So he dragged himself up off the seat and looked like an old man walking over there, and then just commenced to trashing every one after the other. Just 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. handed the ball to the guys and sat back down, didn't have to say anymore.
I had the benefit of playing against him as well as with him, and he was just one of those competitors that was out there every night. You know, you could count on him to you know, carry you through, and he was big enough and strong enough to jump on his back and go along with it.
I always hated to match up with him. I think that's the biggest compliment I can give him. I always hated playing against him because you knew it was going to be a physical game, you knew it was going to be a rough game, you knew he was going to do everything he could to get an advantage.
Durability, consistency, and toughness.
His work ethic about, you know, lifting weights, running, make sure he comes back in shape, and his longevity, I think that says a lot for the man.
Well, I kept waiting for him to slow down, you know, but he never did, and that's the beauty of it. You can really respect somebody who can sustain that level of competition for so long. He was very special.
That I want to always give the credit to where credit was due, because without the past, there'd be no future. Without Karl Malone, there definitely wouldn't be no Kevin Garnett.
I can't imagine a better person to have played my entire career with. Good man, good family man, incredible player, and a team player that led through example.
When I hear the name Karl Malone, I just think a great friend of mine, a great person, phenomenal physical specimen, ran the floor better than any big man in the history of basketball. And it was an honor and a pleasure and a privilege to play against Karl Malone.
John and I have been discussing the best way to grip the ball when you slam it.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. It's the fourth quarter, and the mailman got the ball. I should have been a fouler. I should have been a fouler.
And I don't get shot, and I don't die, so that means I can be in the seat. Oh, I got shot 80 times. Oh.